Have you always wanted to be a writer? Have you spent what feels like a lifetime honing your craft and now you have a book baby that is ready to fly the nest? That was me. Except now I live in Germany where they don't really read in English. God damn it. On this first official episode of Adventures of Lamari, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I decided to self-publish my debut novel, The God Queen. Hallöchen, Lieblings! I'm Mari, author of the upcoming space opera, The God Queen, who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. Let me preface this by saying that I have plans to be a hybrid author down the road. That means I want to be both self-published and traditionally published. But the decision for that will depend on the project itself as it comes. All of my decisions regarding The God Queen are applicable to this book and the subsequent books in the series. Now on to the list. Number 1. Honestly, I am too close to the story. That is actually rule number 1. You shouldn't allow yourself to get too caught up into the story. I created these characters when I was 13 years old. My 2 loves at the time were and are Sailor Moon and Star Wars. Well, Sailor Jupiter to be exact, because Sailor Jupiter is the best Sailor Scout. All other opinions are wrong. Fight me. It is not the same story I wrote at that age. In fact, there are probably about 5, 6, 7 much shittier versions of the God Queen floating around in my hard drive. That's because while I wanted full control of my story, I'm still very open to constructive criticism. I have met some amazing writers over the years that have given me the tough love I needed to better my writing craft, and sometimes that meant starting all over. But that does mean that I am a little too close to my characters. I fear what would happen if a publishing house takes it and decides to shelve it, or it takes even longer to have it published. Self-publishing gives me the creative outlet to finally let the story go and do the healthy thing, which is move on into another project. Number 2, creative control. As an indie author, I have complete control of every aspect of The God Queen, the cover, the editor, the release date. You name it, I control it. I already mentioned how close I am to this story, so I blanch at the idea of the publishing house kind of doing what they will with it. I also fear them changing major aspects of it in the name of marketability and not whether or not the story itself flows. I'm also patient. A publishing house a lot of times can decide to shelve your book after 2 years if the book itself proves to not be a good return on investment. I've seen plenty of other books that after the 2-year mark suddenly become cult classics. Therefore, I'm willing to wait. The important thing is that it is out there and I can decide if down the line I want to shelve it or not. Usually, I don't think I plan on shelving it. I plan on just letting it go and seeing how the market goes. The problem is if you do go the traditional route and after 2 years the publishing house shelves your book, that's all she wrote. You don't have any rights to it. You cannot get that book back out. But like I said before, with self-publishing, I can decide to shelve it maybe and then wait for the market to prove otherwise, and then I can republish it or rebrand it. Like again, it's about complete control. There are movies that are great examples of that. Have you heard of The Dark Crystal? If you watch Netflix, you probably have. The original film was an utter failure in 1982, but as you can see now, it's a cult classic enough that it's been granted a 10-episode series on Netflix. Number 3, money. While self-publishing can be fucking expensive, there's also a high return on investment. That means a much higher royalty. About 35% with print and about 70% with ebook. This doesn't sound like much, but when you compare it to the 7 to 15% you can receive from a traditional house, that's a lot. But you could get an advance from a publishing house. I mean, you've heard stories of hundreds of thousands to $1 million, but that's really rare. I mean, if you get anything at all, it'd be close to about 10,000, and that's only for a year. That's really not much considering how much blood, sweat, and tears went into that book. And you actually don't start gaining royalties until after you've made that 10,000 back. And as you've seen with the 7 to 15%, it's going to take a lot of books to make that money back before you can start earning royalties yourself. But it makes sense. In a publishing house, it requires editors and designers and a marketing team of some kind. It requires a huge team to put out each book, and they have to get paid. I'm not trying to shit on the traditional route at all. You just have to look realistically as where the money is going before it comes to you as the writer. But as an indie author, since you're the one putting all the investments up front, all that money comes back to you. And that's pretty awesome. Number 4, marketing. This is actually a big reason why I considered traditional publishing to begin with. I thought that if I had a publishing house behind me, they would do all the heavy lifting. I wouldn't have to do anything. Just sit in my little nook and write away. Unfortunately, that is not true. Unless you are George R. Martin or Stephen King or Sarah J. Maas or Tamara Pierce, where you've already proven yourself to be a good return on investment for the publishing house. Until then, you're a gamble and you're going to be expected to do a lot of work yourself. So if you're planning on going the traditional route just for the marketing, you're going to need to rethink it. I am, for the most part, a people person. I love reaching out to people, and that's made marketing the God Queen a lot of fun. I've learned from the best on how to approach people and build professional relationships. And who's the best, you might ask? My mom. My mom is literally the best at this game. She is one of the main reasons why my home state of Indiana went smoke-free in all the restaurants. She is aggressive, ambitious, and so fucking adorable. Like, no one can say no to her. But seriously, like, she's a woman that doesn't take no for an answer. You know what? I don't either. Number 5, negotiation power. If, and that's a big if, a publishing house decides they want to take my work and publish it, that's awesome. But it will be because they see how the market has reacted to my book, and that it is, I keep saying return on investment, but it's really what the industry is. It's all about putting back and getting that same amount back in return. And if they recognize the book's worth, then they would also want a piece of that pie, so to speak, to take it and rebrand it and give it its own new cover or whatever, and then, you know, send it out into the world. And if it gets to that point, I won't necessarily be a newbie. I'll have the negotiation power to be able to ask for a better deal because I also recognize my book's worth. This doesn't happen often, but I have seen books that started out self-published and get taken on by traditional houses. So that is something to think about, but until a good deal comes along, I'm not going to jump at the first publishing house that makes it, if at all. While I believe there are many pros to self-publishing, there are quite a few cons. The biggest is legitimacy. It's so easy to self-publish, and as a result, there's a lot of shit floating out there. A lot of shit. However, with a lot of freelance services available, indie authors don't really have an excuse anymore to put out said shit. They can actually put together a good quality book that rivals anything you find from a traditional house. If you want to put out a good product, you're going to need to have a book that is well edited, as well as having an eye-catching cover. And there are plenty of ways to acquire those things without breaking the bank. Another major con is that I did all of that from here in Germany. You'd think it would be similar to self-publishing in, say, the States, and for the most part it is the same, but in other ways it's not. It's really not. Keep an eye out for future episodes where I will dig into the nitty-gritty of publishing from abroad. Anyway, thanks for joining me. If you're new here, please subscribe, and please give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know you like this content and want more. Definitely leave me a comment down below. Let me know of whatever questions you have or other topics you may want to see on this channel. The God Queen will be released on October 22nd in paperback and ebook. I have links below all about it. Be sure to connect with me on my social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can even check out my blogs. For more writing topics and book reviews, check out mltishner.com. And for more expat and pub content, check out adventuresoflamati.com. Also, check out my newsletter where you will get the most up-to-date information on books, projects, pugs, and giveaways. Just for subscribing, you'll get a free character sheet to use, as well as the first 4 chapters of my debut space opera, The God Queen. Be sure to also check out the pre-sale giveaway where you can sign up to win one of these 3 awesome prizes. That's it for today. Until next time, ade!